Shri Tripura Rahasyam MahatmyaKhandam, Chapter 65. Then, by the valor of Dandanatha, the army of Bhandasura was shattered just like a mountain by Indra's thunderbolt. As the army of the demons was being pounded by her pounder Varahi, saw to her surprise Bala, who was fighting again with great interest all alone with the great demons. Then Varahi said to Vala thus, O Valambika, enough of your brave war, which is unparalleled. I have never seen anywhere such courage by which all alone you have vanquished mighty, fierce demons in the war. Hearing about your lonely battle with the demons, the great Devi, your mother, is worried. You should go and meet the great Empress right now. Saying thus, Varahi ordered Asvarudha to take Vala safe and quickly to the great Empress Lalita and get back. Ordered thus, Asvarudha got into the chariot of Vala, who was not willing to leave the battlefield, and got it to get back. After reaching Devi Lalita, Asvarudha handed over Vala to her and said thus, O mother, this girl has been brought back with compulsion from the war field. She is extremely brave and has wonderful valor and prowess. When we went as ordered by you to bring her back from the war, she had entered the ocean-like army of the demons and had destroyed myriads of mighty demons. She had vanquished Visanga and Visukra, the brothers of Bhandasura, known for their fierce nature. Then she fought for a long time with Bhandasura, who had conquered all the worlds and rendered his magical skill useless. With great effort, Varahi reached her and stopped the war. Saying thus, Asvarudha returned to the war. Then the great Empress Lalita took Vala soon on her lap and embraced her, and with love smelled her head and said thus, My child, do not repeat any more such brave deeds. It was improper that you went to fight without informing me. Then Vala, with red eyes and shying, frequently said to her mother Lalita thus, O mother, from a long time I was excited about playing in the war. Fearing that you will prevent me, I did not inform you of my going to the war. Even before I was satisfied enjoying the war sport, your Dandanatha pulled me out. Respecting your fear about my war craze, I returned. Otherwise, I would have humbled her by fighting with her. The transcendental great Devi, embracing Vala, who was saying thus, consoled her and asked her not to talk like that. Then Dandanatha, seated in the Kirichakra, fought with Bhandasura, who was accompanied by the army of demons. Both the Shaktis and the demons encroached on each other and fought with rage. The demons were hitting the Shaktis with weapons like pounders, tridents, iron clubs, iron arrows, javelins, swords, spears, and axes. The Shaktis also were killing the mighty demons in the fierce battle using varieties of weapons. Hit by the Shaktis, the demons lost their limbs, thighs, and noses. Some were sliced into two by the weapons. Some others were pulverized. Some were completely compressed by the heavy weapons. They were all wailing, calling for their sons, friends, fathers, and brothers. This way, the demons were reduced to ashes by the fire of the weapons of Shaktis. The remaining demons started running away with fear. Soon, none could step into the battlefield, which was filled with the frightening noise of the foamy rivers of blood. It was a feast for the departed spirits, foxes, eagles, and jackals. Vishukra and Vishanga, by preventing the demons who were losing and running away, brought them back to the war. Again, a terrible war started with the Shaktis. Vishukra, by his magical power, perplexed the army of the Shaktis. He created darkness and showered stones, along with embers and wind. By this, the huge army of the Shaktis was tormented, and yelling, they became unconscious. Watching this, Sampatkari came there on her elephant and quickly started an encounter with Vishukra. Even the powerful Asvarudha battled with Vishanga. Varahi fought with extreme rage with Bhandasura. Fighting with Vishukra, Sampatkari riding Ranakolahala and followed by a huge army of elephants, showered arrows on him and using an anti-magical missile destroyed his frightening magic. Even Vishukra showered opposing arrows. As the war was continuing for a long period, Sampatkari broke his bow into two. He picked up another bow, which was also broken by her. Like this, his 100 bows were destroyed. Then the powerful Vishukra, with great anger, hit the shoulder of Sampatkari with a spear, by which her huge bow dropped. Seeing this, he roared. Then the angry Sampatkari sent her elephant to fight. Her great elephant started fighting with the elephant of the demon. It looked as though two mountains were fighting. They fought severely for some time, interlocking their trunks, dashing their temples, rubbing their sides, sieging with their tusks, and making loud noises. Then the strong Ranakolahala quickly seized the elephant of the demon and putting it on the ground, pierced its stomach with the tusk and lifted it up and angrily dropped it. By this, the mountainous elephant yelled and revolved 3 times and fell dead. Seeing his elephant fallen, the great Vishukra jumped with a goad and angrily hit the elephant Ranakolahala in between its temples, by which its head was injured and it receded just about a distance of 5 bows. Vishukra, jumping again with the goad on the elephant, fought with Sampatkari. Snatching her bow and breaking it into two, he angrily hit with one portion of the bow severely on her head. Thus hit with force, she was unconscious for a while, and again the angry Sampatkari returned a strong punch with her diamond-like fist on Vishukra's head. With his head split by the blow of the fist, the bleeding and unconscious Vishukra dropped on the ground like a mountain with its wings chopped. Then, as the angry elephant of Sampatkari was about to trample him, Bhandasura's son, who was fighting near by, saw that, and thinking that his uncle was getting killed, took him away by magical power. Like this, the great demon was defeated by Sampatkari. Then Asvarudha fought with the mighty demon Visanga, who on his horse was fighting using many types of missiles and weapons. Asvarudha, riding her horse, struck his chest with a mace, by which Visanga became slightly unconscious, but again quickly picking up weapons like flat sword, shield, and Shatachandra, roamed in the army of the Shaktis. By his weapons, the Shaktis, losing their heads, bodies, and limbs, were falling in bunches. Asvarudha furiously bound him, who was thus destroying her army, by a rope, and as she was about to kill him, along with his horse, by a mess, the great demon, a master of magic, realizing his defeat, magically disappeared along with his horse. Like this, Vishanga was vanquished by Asvarudha. When Visanga was thus driven away from war by Asvarudha, Dandanatha, accompanied by her army, fought with Bhandasura. The swine-faced Dandanatha overpowered Bhandasura by destroying his missiles and weapons using counteracting missiles and weapons. She excelled him in sword fight, mace fight, bow fight, axe fight, and even in boxing. When he was thus defeated in combat with weapons, Bhandasura thought about it and, being an exponent in magic, resorted to magical war. He created darkness, whirlwind, lightning, deafening showers of stones, serpents, corpses, and fire. He created hunting dogs, wolves, tigers, hyenas, demons, lions, sarabhas, gandabherundas, Dandini, by employing retaliating missiles, destroyed his repeated magical creations. Then, tormented by the luminous weapons of Dandanatha, Bhandasura hid himself in the sky and started fighting from his chariot. He showered boulders that made huge sound along with weapons and thunder which frightened the army of the Shaktis. The army of the Shaktis, tortured by these showers, was scattered like a damaged bridge. Seeing the disturbance, Dandanatha, with violent wrath, jumped fast into the sky holding a weapon. Breaking into the shower of boulders, she started searching the demon in the sky, overcast with darkness. Then she illuminated the sky by herself effulgence and reached the demon by warding off his magic. With the mace, she struck the huge demon who was sitting in his chariot and causing showers of boulders on his head, by which he fell down unconscious on the ground like a mountain hit by a thunderbolt and like a river breaching its banks. Again, with great fury, Dandanatha with her mace destroyed his chariot, horses, and the charioteer. Meanwhile, the great demon Bhandasura, regaining his consciousness, jumped into the sky with his mace to fight with Dandanatha. A severe war started between Varahi, Dandanatha, and the demon king. There was the tumult of exchanging blows with mace and great sound of thunderbolts. After fighting like this for a while, Dandanatha, thinking that the great demon was excessively powerful, dragged him with her plough and raised her pounder held in her stout arm. Thinking that he will die hid by the pounder, Bhandasura recollected the words of Lakshmi. Thus, what was spoken by Lakshmi earlier cannot become false. How can I die hid by the unfailing pounder? The great Devi Tripurasundari, who fulfills the desires of her devotees, should kill me in the war, and this is my desire from a long period. As the demon was thinking thus, an incorporeal voice said thus, O Dandanatha, Bhandasura is not at all to be killed by you in the war, hence withdraw your unfailing pounder. Hearing the incorporeal voice, the furious Dandanatha released the great demon from the grip of her plough and decided not to kill him. Then Bhandasura, who was defeated by Dandanatha, disappeared. The army of the demons, severely hit by the Shaktis, was driven away. Seeing the collapse of the demons, the Shaktis sounded many instruments declaring their victory. Then a leader of the Shaktis, by name Jaya, sent a group of Shaktis to Devi Lalita. Those Shaktis who were dead or injured were quickly brought back to life and set right by Amriteshi. Then, gathering the happy army, Dandanatha, accompanied by Sampatkari and Asvarudha, quickly proceeded in her chariot with sounds from elephants and instruments, declaring her triumph to meet Devi Lalita. End of the 60 fifth chapter of the MahatmyaKhandam of Sri Tripura Rahasyam. Chapter 66. Then Dandanatha, along with her battalion, went to Mantrini Devi and informed her about the victory after bowing to her. The pleased Mantrini embraced Dandanatha and honored her with presents. Then Mantrini, along with Dandanatha, went to the great Empress Lalita and reported about their victory, which brought joy to the Shaktis. Bhandasura, with the residual army, departed to Shunyaka city, exposing grief externally but happy within because his desire was met, and reached his private chamber. Then some Mohini and others, the wives of Bhandasura, jointly said thus, O Lord, why are you looking helpless today? How has the prediction of Narada gone wrong? Hearing his wives, Bhandasura, knowing his auspicious desire and realizing that his wives have correctly understood the words of Narada, said thus, O dear wives, listen. Why should I be? Why should I be depressed after attaining my want? Whatever Narada has told you is to my liking. Very soon, killed by the great Devi, I will reach her abode. To keep this as a secret to the demons, I am looking sad. Then the wives again said thus, O Lord, we will tell you our desire. If it is certain that you will be killed in the war by her, we are also prepared to be killed by her. If so, take us, who are dear to you, along with you. We have shown the way. Otherwise, what will be our fate? Please tell us. It would be improper for you to discard us who are devoted to you and attached to you like your shadow. Hearing his wives, Bhandasura, filled with ecstasy, said thus, listen to my truthful words. I had thought about this long ago, which will not change for the reason that I am going to say. By the grace of Devi Lakshmi, I can remember my previous life. She had told me that Devi Tripurasundari will take care of us and will fulfill all the wants of devotees taking shelter under her, even if they are impossible. Hence, our desire will be fulfilled. I desire to go to her abode along with all of you, and there is no doubt about its happening. Even then, I have another desire, that I should go to her abode along with my children and others. This may also happen, but I am worried. With her grace, somehow we will achieve our wants. It is impossible in this world to bear the separation from friends and relatives, without whom even a second will look like myriad years. Hence, I am praying that I should never be without any relatives. All of you should always pray for this. The Devi will fulfill the impossible wants of her devotees. This matter should not be disclosed to others. I have thus become pure minded. O queens, leave aside grief. Good time has arrived. Saying this, Bhandasura entered the huge assembly by sunset. Then his brothers, Visukra and others, and the ministers, sons, servants, and the members of the assembly who shone like stars arrived there, and after bowing to the king, occupied their respective seats. Vishukra, seeing the depressed king, lauded him and with folded palms bowed and said thus, O Lord Bhandasura, the deed by Devi of killing the demons to achieve her end is unrighteous. Even Vishukra, the most intelligent follower of Shukracharya, spoke against his self-belief. During unfavorable period, a belief is transgressed. The mind naturally follows the impending events. O king, you are sitting grieved in this assembly, while we, the demons, are alive. It is improper that you be sad. Addressed thus, Bhandasura spoke again in the assembly of demons thus, O Vishukra, what can I say when the time is unfavorable? I, who am the Lord of 105 universes, had time and again defeated Vishnu and others, and by just hearing whose name Indra will never sleep, have been vanquished in meaningless war by a group of women. You are questioning me, who am almost dead. Why I am depressed? Death is commendable than this type of defeat. Hearing these words, Vishukra spoke thus, O Lord of the demons, it does not befit you to utter helplessness. Who will not be compassionate towards a weak woman? It is a natural code of practice not to use weapons on women. Either you or me, or your sons, or even a low ranking demon ordered by you can very quickly destroy the entire army of the Shaktis. I confirm this by touching your feet. You can be sporting with the divine damsels in your harem. I will go and conquer her and again see your feet. Saying thus, he looked at Kutilaksha, the chief of the army, who was by his side. Then Kutilaksha bowed with folded hands to Vishukra and said thus, O heir apparent, why are you talking like this when I am alive? You please relax with the king, Vishanga, and the sons of the king. I will set out with the army and its leaders and conquer her. If not, I promise that I will never return. Saying thus and bowing to them, he went out of the city, accompanied by many Akshohini, strong army and leaders. Then another mighty leader of the army named Durmada, accompanied by 10 Akshohini army and riding a camel and holding a mace, joined Kutilaksha. Sitting as if on the pin, on the pinnacle of arrogance, he bowed to Kutilaksha and said thus, O chief of the army, please stay here along with your army. It is improper that you should proceed to win a weak woman. Within no time, I will bind and bring that leader of the woman. If I do not bring her soon, then you can proceed and try. Saying thus, Durmada set out the great speed, sounding again and again musical instruments, heralding triumph, and reached early in the morning the front line of the army of the Shaktis. Hearing the tumultuous sound of the army of the demons preparing to fight, Sampatkari and Asvarudha went to Devi Lalita, Mantrani and Dandini, and after bowing to them, informed about the readiness of the demons to fight. Pleased with the permission granted, both of them, followed by countless Shaktis, proceeded to battle. There Devi Sampatkari was riding the mammoth Ranakolahala, which was tall like the Himalaya mountain. With a golden hue, she was dressed in a red garment and decorated with rubies. She was an ocean of beauty with waves of youthfulness. She was twanging her bow set with gems, shining like a rainbow. To parch the ocean of demons, she set out like the sun from the eastern mountain, shooting arrows like the rays of the sun. Innumerable Shaktis similar to her moved with her on elephants, shooting arrows all around, each of them wielding 3 gourds and shouting and moving on elephants. One of them, seated on an elephant, was directing the army towards the enemy. Many were face to face with the enemy. With such a huge army, Sampatkari entered, pervading the war field as if she would devour the army of the demons. The mountainous elephants with naturally split temples and which never move away from war approached the army of the demons. Then In both the armies were heard sounds of instruments and of the colliding weapons snatching as it were the lives. The demons were riding on chariots, elephants, horses, donkeys, camels, deers, eagles, crows, vultures, owls, beautiful peacocks, cats, mongooses, lizards, and ghosts. The demons were wielding fierce spears, swords, discs, javelins, iron clubs, tridents, bolts, missiles, and cudgels. With these demons fought the army of the Shaktis with intense fervor and with eyes red with rage. Both the armies were exchanging bitter words. The Shaktis were uttering many words like, "You are done, stand with valor, do not show your back," and killing many demons. Even the demons were similarly destroying the Shaktis. While the battle in which the lives were pledged was continuing, the Shaktis were chopping off the hands, the legs, the heads, and cutting into two the bodies of the demons. Similarly, the Shaktis were also killed by the weapons of the demons. Even though crippled, they were biting their lips with anger and hitting the enemies with weapons, teeth, and fists. Those who lost their weapons were snatching them from others. Some others were fighting using the wheels of the broken chariots. While the horrible war resembling dissolution continued, there flowed a flooded river of blood with froth and waves. The army of the demons was destroyed by the Shaktis riding the elephants, and the remaining injured demons from the 10 Akshauhini were driven away. Durmada, holding a mace and seated on a camel, seeing his entire army destroyed, sent a strong speeding golden hued camel as tall as 10 palmyra trees, looking like the god of death, into the army of the Shaktis. This camel entered the army of the Shaktis with great speed. Its tongue was dangling out of its jaws like a mass of flesh. It was making a big sound like the churning of an ocean. It was spitting frothy saliva and urinating frequently. Moving around among the Shaktis, it was destroying by its chest, feet, face, and teeth the herd of elephants. The enraged Durmada, also like Yama, destroyed the Shaktis and the elephants by striking them with his mace. Seeing the defeat of the Shaktis, Sampatkari sent her elephant Ranako Lahala to kill the camel. Then the great elephant, approaching the camel, the carrier of the demon, repeatedly struck it with its temples and the tip of its tusk. The camel also fought back with its teeth, head, and hoofs. Thus a tumultuous fight went on between the camel and the elephant. Then the elephant caught hold of the camel and pushed it to the ground and killed it by trampling on it. Seeing his camel dead, Durmada flew into the sky holding his mace, and by revolving it struck the temple of the elephant. Hit by the mace, the elephant revolved and, with broken knees and bleeding, dropped on the ground. Meanwhile, hit by the arrow of Sampatkari, Durmada died with his chest split into two. Seeing their leader dead, the demons ran away to save themselves, even without looking back at the Shaktis who were chasing them. End of the 66th chapter of the Mahatmya Khandam of Sri Tripura Rahasyam.